Today on the Big Me Kickoff, we talk about some comments from ESPN reporter Holly Rowe, and we look over our offensive series about the best players in the Big Ten. All of that and more here on the Big Me Kickoff. I'm your host, Kevin Noon. It is Thursday, August 25th. Glad you could join me. Going up a little earlier today than anticipated, but then again, I was anticipating doing this show on Wednesday, and things happen sometimes, and I think it's for the best because I think my show today is a little bit more put together, had a chance to do a little thought on it. Always makes for a better show. Be sure to join us on Friday, internet provided, because as you know, those who are followers of my show, my internet here has been up and down. That'll be changed on Monday. We will go live. No cowards here. We will go live on the Big Me Kickoff, whether or not I have to do it on through my phone or if I can use my home internet. Get a little housekeeping out of the way. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast, this channel. Hit the bell, give us a thumbs up, all that stuff. It helps us out with the algorithm. If you're listening to us on one of the podcasting platforms, write us a 5-star review. It would mean the world to me, and it helps other people find our great product. Additionally, BuckeyeHuddle is 8 days old in terms of its full launch. Are you a member yet? I'm looking at doing something really to try and get a lot of our YouTube fans on board. And I haven't quite figured it out yet. Are you a member yet? If so, just tell me in the comments yes. If you're not, tell me no. I want to get everybody over there. I really do. I mean, obviously, well, of course you do, Kevin. It's what you do for a living. Yeah, but I think that we have, we talk a couple times a week here on the show, but I think that having you in the community over there would be even better. We have all the great content from Mark Givler, Alex Sleitman on the recruiting side of things. Of course, Tony and Tom, you know who those guys are. They join us with team coverage and podcasting and everything else. And then, we haven't even really gotten into Ross Fulton, Justin Whitlatch, and Devin Radcliffe and their X's and O's. Can't wait for the season to start churning out more of that content. All right, we're done with that for now. I'm looking at this to be kind of a quick show just because we're going to go live tomorrow. Let's not burn everything to talk about. But Holly Rowe, sideline reporter for ESPN, posted a little short 45-second video. Apparently she was at Ohio State practice yesterday, lucky, and had the chance to check some things out. And with ABC ESPN still holding a piece of the contract this year, that's what happens. You get some national TV partners that get a little bit of different access, and that's fine. I get it. But here are her comments, and not in their entirety, but what really matters. I don't think anybody's that concerned about the fruit skewer that she had. It was pretty warm in Columbus, a little on the muggy side. They're practicing in the afternoons now because school is in session at Ohio State. But the quote, and I quote, "Oh my gosh, they are so loaded. I'm obsessed with the defensive line, and the defensive line is going to be spectacular. CJ Stroud, the wide receivers, embarrassment of riches. I think they're going to win it all." Well, that's pretty good right there. I mean, and again, I get it. We're more than a week away from the start of the season. It's a long season. A lot of stuff can happen. Holly Rowe has seen a lot of programs. She knows football. She's somebody who, built up her career on merit. She was not a sensationalist that was, some sort of social media phenomenon that was just had to grab. I mean, she's somebody who has gone through the career the right way. She knows her business. For those comments, and I think the thing that's going to really resonate, there are two parts of it that are going to resonate. The CJ Stroud and wide receivers, everybody knows that. I don't think anybody is that surprised. The embarrassment of riches, I don't think anybody's that surprised. Surprising statement number one, I'm obsessed with the defensive line, and the defensive line is going to be spectacular. I think anything with the word defense in Ohio State right now, just for Ohio State fans, it's a big hold your breath, wait and see. Oh, I don't believe you type of situation. Seeing is believing. And again, Holly Rowe was there to see Ohio State practicing against Ohio State. This was not any game situation. This isn't college basketball. There isn't a secret scrimmage or anything like that. So, I mean, you're seeing it in a small, in a small space in terms of what's going on, but the defensive line is going to be spectacular. That has really kind of been something, in the year. I mean, last year, the line didn't necessarily get it done. And I'm not going to put it all on the line. There were issues at all three levels. But if the defensive line can finish off plays, if the defensive line can drop the quarterback, can speed up the quarterback, can, blow up the pocket and force him to roll out and make a throw on the move, that's going to make the other two levels look a lot better. And I think if we sit there and we look at some of the recent Ohio State defensive successes, it's been because of the line being so impactful. There certainly are impactful players on this line. Zach Harrison, Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau. I mean, I don't want to leave off guys like Tyler Friday, but, you have with those three players that I had mentioned, you're talking about five-star type of players, five-star caliber players that, in Zach's case, we've seen flashes, but we've not seen it consistently. With Jack Sawyer's case, it's been more of a case of, remember, he didn't play his senior season. He was an early enrollee, but he's put on some weight. I mean, Jack Sawyer today versus Jack Sawyer 12 months ago, very different look. Just being honest. Jack Sawyer 12 months ago, yeah, he's a football player. I can see a lot that's going to go on there. You see him now, and it's like, all right, that's somebody that you need to account for whenever he's out there. And then with JT Tuimoloau, remember, he committed on 4th of July, enrolled shortly thereafter. I mean, he didn't even get a full summer of work, got thrust out there to play. Saw some flashes with him too. But if these guys are all starting to put it together, and the thing is when you have combinations of guys that are putting it together, then it's like, all right, well, what are you going to do? If Zach Harrison is out there going nuts, do you double him? Who do you single at that point? Who is unaccounted for? I mean, are you bringing a tight end in to sit there and give you, two blocks on him? And are you going single coverage or single blocking against everybody else? I mean, if you have Zach Harrison going nuts on one side, and then you have, let's just say, Jack Sawyer on the other side, or JT Tuimoloau or whoever, and they're just going one versus one, it bodes well. And then, of course, Ohio State certainly has some dudes on the interior defensive line. Maybe not as big name as, in some past years, maybe not as big of a name as some other programs within the Big Ten. Excuse me. So it's, I think that if what Holly Rowe is saying about just the defensive line, that's a huge win. And then, of course, the other part that Ohio State fans are really going to listen to is, and I quote, I think they are going to win it all. September national championships, and heck, at this point, August national championships don't mean anything. January national championships do. You can't win a national championship at this point of the year. You sure can do a lot of things to lose one, I can tell you that. But if you kind of couple the thoughts from Holly Rowe with maybe some of the Big Ten Network guys and some of the other people that have been through, I think it's going to be a pretty good season. I've seen it's a trendy pick out there to say Ohio State's going to drop a game along the way, a Big Ten game potentially. It's hard to win them all. It's really hard to win them all. We get into early November and they're 9 undefeateds, and people are very concerned about which undefeateds are going to get hosed in the deal without necessarily looking at the schedule and seeing that a lot of these teams play each other in rivalry games at the end of the year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then we get to the end of the year and there are 0 undefeated teams, 1, maybe 2. So then it really comes into what, when you lose, who you lose to, how you bounce back, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if I see a loss on the schedule. I mean, then again, I'm not necessarily somebody who picks Ohio State to lose all that often because on paper they shouldn't. Maybe in the championship game against Alabama, it was pretty easy to pick Alabama there, especially knowing that Ohio State went into that game dealing with the flu bug. But even straight up, that was going to be a pretty bad matchup for Ohio State. But you don't pick a lot of those losses. I didn't pick Ohio State to lose to Iowa. I didn't pick Ohio State to lose to Purdue. I didn't pick Ohio State to lose to Oregon. I mean, so maybe I'm looking at this through home eyes too much. Maybe, because of all my great fans out there, and they certainly think Ohio State's going to win. Maybe some of that rubs off too. I don't know. If you want to win with Ohio State, though, be sure to sign up for Buckeye Huddle. I've got the information down in the comments, or at least down in the description. Give us a look. I promise you will enjoy it. I mean, it is a fantastic community. We're growing. We're just getting started. As I said, we're only 8 days in. So much content, so much insight. The Mark Givler Skull Sessions, Alex Lightman's Around the Oval. He just dropped a new podcast as well. The name's escaping me off the top of my head. Of course, Tom and Tony's work. So much great stuff. Please give us a look. Again, leave in the comments, are you a member? You thinking about being a member? Let me know about that. Again, I'm going to do my podcast. I absolutely am. But my job is Buckeye Huddle. That's where I'm at. So, if you want to get more access to me, you're going to get it there. So let me know your thoughts. I really invite everybody to come on board. So, we move off of Holly Rowe's comments, which are fantastic and, really made for a nice, easy lead into this show, because I know people want to talk about that. Want to talk about the good stuff. Nobody wants to talk about the bad stuff. I don't want to talk about the bad stuff. I haven't been feeling good. And, talking about the bad stuff, not necessarily something that I'm signing up to do at this point. I'm going to be real with you. If something needs to be said, I'm going to say it. But I don't live to say the bad stuff. Over the course of the last 8 days, I've been running a series looking at the top returning players in the Big Ten. We're in the midst of the defense right now, but I wanted to go through some of my offensive players. And again, with me not doing this show live, we really can't have a back and forth about it. You'll let me know in the comments, I promise you. And I really try to get in there and do a good job of answering comments. I think people can see that. I had 7 Ohio State players on offense make it into the top returning players in the Big Ten. And now the parameters are, I only get to pick 5 per position. So, it's a situation of where, all right, I'm picking 5 quarterbacks, but I'm also only picking 5 offensive tackles. So, in some ways you're going deeper at quarterback because 5 teams are going to be represented, unless I somehow decided to say I'm going to take both Michigan quarterbacks, or a situation where things aren't, necessarily decided, or, I'm going to take Sean Clifford and Drew Allar at Penn State. And I didn't do that. Whereas an offensive tackle, it's first team, second team, and 1 player on the third team. I'm only taking 5. You got 2 on the field at a time. So it gets to be a little bit more difficult there. Well, we'll go with some of the most obvious ones here at first. And again, as I said, we can't really have a back and forth here. If you like it, we'll talk about it on the show tomorrow. CJ Stroud, number 1, quarterback. I think that one's pretty obvious. There are going to be people that are going to make an argument for, Maryland's quarterback, Talia Tungavaloa. There are going to be people that might make an argument for Aiden O'Connell, but it's pretty simple to me. CJ Stroud was a Heisman finalist, Big Ten quarterback of the year. He's back. Good enough for me. Running back, Trevion Henderson, 1,250 some yards last year. Maybe hit a little bit of a freshman wall, but I think that with what Ohio State's going to try and do on offense, I think that it's going to be there for him. Wide receiver, Jackson Smith and Jigba, number 1. But I also took Marvin Harrison Jr., number 5. And that one was based more on predictive than what I'm seeing, what I've seen over the course of all last season. What I saw in the Rose Bowl was really impressive. 3 touchdowns. What a time to get your first touchdown. And then your second, and then your third. And I think that one's going to be a real big deal there. I think I surprised a couple people with my number 2 pick with Mitchell Tinsley from Penn State. And people will be like, I am not familiar with that name. Well, he's a transfer from Western Kentucky, put up huge numbers, huge numbers, 1,400 yards, 14 scores, 87 receptions. Will he be able to continue that at Penn State as they look to replace Jahan Dotson? We'll see. At offensive tackle, I had DeJuan Jones 4, and I had Paris Johnson 2. And people are going to be like, well, why not 1? Paris Johnson, I just read an ESPN mock draft. I think he was going top 20 in that mock draft, playing one year at his true position. Remember, year 1 was kind of a backup. Year 2, too good not to play. We're going to slide him into guard. Year 3, this year, he's going to play tackle, his natural position. I had Peter Shkronski of Northwestern as number 1. I just think that Shkronski's, I think if you look at ceiling, Paris Johnson is higher. But I think if you look at body of work, this is one of those things of where, they're my rankings, so I can kind of do what I want. And on this thing, I'm going to take expectations. On this one, I'm going to take past production. And on that one, I just kind of took past production. So that's what we have there. And then at center, I have Luke Whitler, number 2, behind John Michael Schmitz of Minnesota. You could have some debate there. I mean, I was told in some ways that I had Luke maybe one spot too high, that I could have, maybe put him 3rd. And again, that's the thing. This is all subjective. And here in January, I'll try and remember these pieces and go back to them and look at them and be like, how did I do? How did we do here? And, again, I feel pretty comfortable in Stroud, Henderson, Smith, and Jigba. Some of the other positions, maybe not as much. As I said, we're doing defensive side right now. Ohio State has dudes, but, at defensive tackle, I didn't have any Ohio State defensive tackles in the top 5. And that's something that, I dropped today on the site here on Thursday. I had to think about the day for a second. For defensive end, I had Zach Harrison 1. And again, I think that's a predictive one. And, you sit there and you lose guys like Aiden Hutchinson and David Ojabo from that team up north. A lot of things kind of open up there. And then also there's a situation too of where you have a team like Wisconsin who plays a 3-4, somebody who some people might consider an end, I consider a linebacker. And, that kind of changes some of the numbers up as well. So don't look at it and be like, well, how are you forgetting these players? There's some, there's some things that we have to figure out. But as I've said here, we're going to try and make this a quick show. We're closing in on 18 minutes. I think that's a good round number thereabouts. We're going to try and go live on Friday, August 26th. Be sure to get your comments in. I'll get that show built here pretty soon, so you can set reminders for it. Again, Buckeye Huddle, not to belabor the point. Let me know in the comments. I really want to know. There's so many great posters here in our podcasting community, in our video podcasting community. I know a lot of you who have never been members of websites like this before have given us a chance and are active posters. I mean, and some of you have given us a chance or not posting, and that's fine. Not everybody's going to post, but really want to get everybody over there. So reach out to me, let me know. But until then, this is the Big Me Kickoff. I'm your host, Kevin Noon, and I will talk to you again tomorrow.